Well, the row over remuneration has shaken up boardrooms, heads have rolled, swept away by the shareholder spring. But could the investor revolt over pay claim more casualties? Chris Roebuck is a visiting professor at the Cass Business School and he joins me now. How bad is it going to get in Europe? Because it seems to be, I mean, there's a few ripples in America, but where are we in this? Has the bubble burst on the mystique of the CEO remuneration?
There is a question about whether the bubble should have got quite as big as it has done, and you're absolutely right that there is a cultural element in this as well. If we look at what's happening in the US and in Asia, the attitude there is if the organisation is doing well compared to its competitors, actually if the market gives the chief executive this money, all well and good. Within Europe we have a moral element to that, which is yes, they deserve the money, but there has to be a relevance to the amount of money that the average person is being paid. The comparisons between what FTSE 100 chief executives were getting 10 years ago and now has doubled, and that upsets people.
Is that not more to do, Chris, with the fact that 10 years ago we were plastic fantastic, we were living high on the hog as individuals, life was great, the companies were making money, so it's a paradigm shift in sociology, not so much about a change in whether these guys should be paid the money.
Oh, and that's right, and to be perfectly blunt, the attitude is, why should you get away with it when I'm suffering?
Yes.
You know, everyone should be just as unhappy as everyone else. so there are a number of issues there, and I think we're getting to the point where there needs to be a restructuring of how we think about executive remuneration and how we actually measure it, because small shareholders are confused about, you know, should it be share price, should it be return on earnings, what are the measures we should be using. Organisations have been pretty bad at explaining what really matters.
But isn't this the critical point? Institutional shareholders acquire quite substantive positions.
Absolutely.
Right, that's for profit, dividends, growth.
Yep.
Okay, I'm a shareholder, go out, buy some stock. I want the same things. So somebody has missed a trick in terms of corporate communication, because
I agree, totally.
Because the corporates are they not communicating properly? Is that the issue?
Yes, I think they're explaining it badly. In the final analysis, you know, the institutional shareholders are clever institutional shareholders. The small shareholders are the man on the street, and if it doesn't pass the man on the street test, they're going to get upset. But the other thing that is interesting is that it's not just about the shareholders. Within this debate about executive pay, people have completely forgotten the employees. We know that employees, if they like the example from the top of the organisation, can give up to 30% extra effort for the same money in the same time. If they think the people at the top of the organisation are money grabbing and are setting a bad example, they won't give that extra performance. So in the long run, the chief executive and the board are actually reducing the potential of the organisation to perform in the future.
Well, surely corporates should just get a lot smarter and start to begin to think a little bit more dynamically about how you remunerate your employees.
Absolutely. They need to get smarter, and they need to think about not we want to grab this bit of the cake, but how can we make the whole cake bigger and get everybody on board? And that's basic leadership.
Well, sometimes that can be lacking.
Indeed.
You've worked for UBS, HSBC, KPMG and the Army. So you've got bankers, management consultants and people who actually go out and put their lives on the line. Who has got the right mix there in terms of remuneration strategy? You've done a lot of time in banks. Have they got it right?
The remuneration strategy, I think, in the banks, with all the other corporates, has lost touch with what are the key things to measure, how do we measure ourselves against our competitors, how do we communicate what we need to communicate to our people. And that's one thing that the military is good at, measuring the right things, setting out things in the clearest possible way and making sure that everybody thinks they're part of the same team and not in a divisive community.
Chris Roebuck, we're going to have to leave it there. Visiting professor at the Cass Business School. Thanks for the insight.
Thank you.